Okay, welcome everyone to another webinar brought to you by OptionSlam.com. Please read and understand the CFTC rule before you risk your hard-earned money in the markets. Read and understand the CFTC rule. Our disclaimer tells you that we are not licensed financial advisors, nor are we registered investment advisors. Therefore, we do not provide investment or financial advice, nor do we make investment recommendations. The webinars and all the information available at OptionSlam in the webinars provided by OptionSlam, all of that information is for educational purposes only. And I am Marco. This is my email address right here, optionslam.com@gmail.com. Please feel free to shoot me an email with your comments, your questions, your suggestions. How's everyone's trading going? Anyone have any specific questions or topics of discussion you would like us to touch on? That's what these webinars are for. Today, we're going to take some time to review through the website the features, getting kind of back to the basics, just an overview, review of website features. This should help those of you who are new or newer to OptionSlam.com and refresh the memory of many of those of you who've been around for so many. I'm going to start by reminding you that if you see your username, then you're logged in right here at the top right corner. If you don't see your username, then you're not going to get all of the insider information. You're going to get a limited amount. That's all the pages throughout the website, but only with very limited utility and data. This box allows you to enter a symbol not necessarily case sensitive. As you can see, I typed in Apple symbol, and I can hit enter on my keyboard, or I could click that go button. And what this does is it takes me to a page that the black bar has now changed to a navigation bar that is specifically for Apple information. There are all of these pages: earnings history, trend analysis, implied move weekly, implied move monthly, and the post earnings page. So clicking any of these links takes me to those specific pages. I am on the earnings history page. You can tell by seeing that little arrow or triangle, the golden color next to the earnings history page. If I go to the trend analysis page, that little arrow becomes apparent next to the trend analysis page. So that's just an indicator of what page you are on. By default, when you type a symbol in that top right corner, it takes you to the earnings history page. So we'll review, to get started today, we're going to review these 5 pages. and the information on them. Not in great detail, not all detail, but a cursory look. Starting out, all of the pages are going to be headed off with this basic information. It doesn't matter if I go to the trend analysis page, I still get that same basic information, or the post earnings page. I get that same in this little highlighted area at the top. Implied move weekly, implied move monthly, all the pages have that same information. So that information travels with you as you go across the pages of OptionSlam.com that are specific to your stock. And that information is just basic information. Average daily volume. This happens to be the 90-day average. 90-day average volume of the stock itself. Capitalization, 2.67 trillion, T for trillion, dollars is the market capitalization currently of Apple. There is a sector identification and a short interest number here. Now, we've recently had a webinars about short interest, so I won't get into details of that. I don't know if my voice is going to hold out here today. I haven't been yelling or straining my voice in any way. Not sure why. I'm having an issue here. Excuse me, I apologize. Now, as you can see, there's some more information over here on the right-hand side, and it has to do with, as option is all about earnings events. What we do here is we estimate the next earnings date. As you can see, we have an estimated date of October 26th, going to be Apple's next earnings date. The language estimate means that we have not been able to confirm that date. We have an algorithm that we built that estimates the range of when that we believe that the next earnings announcement will be. And our expected projected, the OptionSlam projected window for the next earnings event is somewhere between October 24th and October 29th. And our best guess at this moment is October 26th. Once we confirm this, and we are actively out there every day, searching across hundreds and literally thousands of stocks that we cover at our website, we are searching for confirmation of when the next earnings day is going to be. And once we confirm it, this language of estimate goes away. For example, if we were to go to NVDA, NVIDIA, you can see that there is no there's no language that uses the word estimate or estimated. It emphatically states that the next earnings date is going to be August 24th. So this is the way you can tell whether a date is confirmed or estimated. Either we are using the language estimated or we're not. Back to Apple, I simply type the symbol in that top right-hand corner, hit enter on my keyboard or click that button, and I'm back to Apple's earnings history page with the OptionSlam projected window, estimated date, and approximate days between now and October 26th. Now, the chart. Two things about the chart. It comes up by default as a daily chart. There are little earnings bubbles. A green earnings bubble indicates that the immediate one-day reaction to the earnings event was a positive reaction. A red earnings bubble indicates that the immediate one day reaction after the earnings were posted on and made public. The reaction by the public was a negative move in the underlying stock. And so you see the red candle the day after the earnings event and a red bubble indicating the direction of the move. If you simply hover your mouse over the chart and scroll, I have a scroll on my a scroll button on my mouse, which most of you probably have something similar. You can scroll to increase the date range in which you're seeing. You see, I just scrolled, the candles got smaller, and now I can see 2 more previous earnings bubbles. I can drag the chart by clicking and moving my mouse and drag the chart to the left to go back in time. Here is a split. We're working on a indicator. Let's see, do we have that working yet? See a little yellow up there. Yeah, there's our indicator, but it's working, but it needs an adjustment. It needs to be adjusted so that we can see it on clearly on the page. So we did, this is a brand new feature. We just added this so that we can see when splits were and what the split was, you know, how many shares it was, et cetera. But I'll need to get with IT team and have them adjust that. There's always something. Let me make a note quick, so lest I forget. Oh, shoot. Sorry, I got to hang on a quick minute. I apologize, folks. I have some personal business, very important business going on, and there's some phone calls that I do have to take. And I'm just telling the people I can't afford to. I won't explain any further, but we may get another interruption or two, and I apologize. You guys know that I really try to avoid that kind of thing. Oh, there's a fill. Nice. All right. So, okay, Wayne asks, what does the short interest 65 represent? Okay, so that is a 0.65. That is less than 1% of the total float. Okay, so okay, so we're our short interest is as a percentage of float. There's a lot of different short interest numbers that are out there floating around on the internet. The one that we use is as a percentage of float. Okay, so that's all I have to say about that right now. I hope that helps. So 0.65 means less than 1%. 0.65 of 1% of the entire float is short Apple. So not many short holders in that stock. Okay, so let's see. Where did I leave? Oh, yeah, I was going to write myself a note. We need to adjust the split bubble. split bubble on the chart. Okay, sorry about that. Got that. Okay, because that's a recent feature. We just added it, but I'll need to bring that to IT team's attention that it's not showing up very, very clearly on the chart. All right, very good. Let's see. So that's the chart. And by the way, this chart is highly customizable. You can just click here. It's set up for a one day candles. You can set it up. Here's a bunch of presets. You can change it from candles to other styles of charting, line, area, even Heikin-Ashi, okay, which is awesome. And then there are other properties. It's a highly customizable chart, okay? Now, personally, I don't use these charts very much. I have charts that I use. I prefer the charts at Thinkorswim. The brokerage, one of my brokerages that I use those charts, and I have those customized the way I like them. And so I didn't see a lot of sense in customizing these charts when I'm already looking at a stock. I've got it on my brokerage session, but for convenience of many traders like these charts, and for the convenience of not having to go to another website and to my brokerage, I have a quick, at a glance view of some history of where this stock is now and compared to where it's been recently. So one more thing about charts. This is 1 day delayed. This chart here that you're seeing is not showing you today. So let's zoom in. And if I hover my mouse on that last candle, you can see that the date that populates here at the bottom of the chart, my crosshair intersects that last candle. The date is August 8th. That is yesterday. So this is not showing you any of the price action of today. If you want to see today's price action without leaving OptionSlam, you can simply click this Live Interactive Chart button here, and this will bring you to a chart that has a default, but it is also customizable, and it becomes a 1 minute chart, okay? And it shows you, let's see, is that right? I haven't looked at this chart in so long that I've forgotten what it is. So since I'm not fresh on how, but it is an interactive chart. You can adjust it, and it is showing today's price action. This is, in fact, I think this is a 1 minute chart of today's price action. I'm not really seeing a scale. Oh, there it is. I just had to widen it out a little bit. No, I don't. It doesn't seem right. Let's see. August 9th. Okay, so that's August 9th. August 8th. Let me maximize this and see if we can sort this out. 1 hour. So it's a daily chart. It is a daily chart. Okay, it is a daily chart. So now I hover my mouse on that, and you can see that the date that populates is August 9th. Okay, and then yesterday, I go back 1 day to yesterday as August 8th. So this is still a daily chart, but you can bring this down and make it a 1 minute chart, a 30-minute chart, an hourly chart. Currently, it is set to daily. Okay, and again, it's customizable. And there is a slew of indicators that you can apply, to the charts. Okay? So that's just a little nuance about getting current live pricing. This chart that populates is not. It is 1 day delayed. Okay, scrolling on down on the earnings history page. Table, tells you, let's go through the column headings. Previous earnings dates. This is the last earnings date, July 28th, 2022. Going back in time to the previous quarter, April 28th, 2022. And going back one quarter at a time, as all stocks report 4 quarters every year. What was the price of the stock? The last published price of the stock prior to the earnings event actually being released. So July 28th, after the close, was when this earnings announcement was made public. So this is the closing price of July 28th. 157.35 is the closing price of Apple on July 28th, and that is the last price prior to the earnings event being announced. The next morning, the stock opened up 2.47%. The next morning, the stock opened up at a price of 161.24, and we simply convert that to a percentage for you. Okay? The open, high, low, and close are all published here of that event day, the one trading day after the earnings event. Open, high, low, and close. And then again, the close, and in this case, the maximum move would be the high, are also converted to percentages. Okay? That's all this is. So it looks like a lot of data, a lot of information. It is, but it's actually pretty straightforward and simple. This into a little bit. Now, we talked about these columns in a recent webinar. So I'll just review these quickly. These, okay, I need to, I have this set to only looking back one earnings event. So notice that, let's see, what if I did NVIDIA? Let's switch to NVIDIA. NVDA, and I'll show you why I'm doing that here in a quick second. Yeah, this is better. This is better because NVIDIA has an earnings date coming up, and it is confirmed. And this, you can see that there's some data populated across here. Notice that this information is all in line with this 5.16%. That is the previous one earnings, and this is the absolute volatility, mean, absolute volatility, median, okay? Mean being the average, median being the middle. But I'm only looking back at one earnings event. What this tool will do for you is it will average multiple earnings events. So I can change this to almost any number I want. I can look back to 12, to 10, to 13. I can type in a number here if I want to. If I want to look back only 4 earnings, I can just put in a 4 there and submit that change. And this will, it will save that change, and in my settings, over here in the side menu, which I just hit it, so, okay, and just in case yours is not showing, it'll be over here on the right side of the browser window. Click show, and then you will get this additional menu where you can go to your My Profile. And that's where another place where you can change these settings, where I just changed this to a 4, and how many earnings events I'm showing on this page. I can change that to only show 6, or I can change it to show 16, whatever I want. Submit the change. Now I'm showing 16 earnings events on one page. There are more pages. I can click through the pages. But now these column headings are looking back for earnings and giving you the absolute volatility, average, looking back 1, 2, 3, 4, taking into consideration these 4 earnings. The reason I had this on 1 was to illustrate a point, because this is sometimes confusing to some of our newer subscribers. When I have this at 1, it populates the information here because we have an earnings event coming up. And in some of the other pages, such as the implied move weekly and implied move monthly pages specifically, so this is because the earnings event is not here yet. It's coming up on August 24th, very soon, in a couple of weeks, right? But what this area here is populated, here it says, to be calculated after earnings date. That's why these are blank. We can't calculate that because it hasn't happened yet. But this has happened because this is looking back. And we're only looking back 1 period. And then again, I can change that to looking back 4 or 6, whatever number I prefer. And now I'm looking back 6 earnings events and calculating the true volatility, ignoring these first 2 columns, ignore whether it was an up move or a down move. It just looks at how much did it move. So looking at those last 6 earnings, the average of the last 6 earnings closing price, so looking at this column here, was 5.75. That's the average of the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 earnings events. The median of those 6 earnings events is 6.36. And then the same calculations, but raw. And what these raw numbers do is they calculate, and they do take into consideration whether the move was up or down, whether it was a positive reaction to earnings or a negative reaction to earnings. And it does take into consideration negative numbers, whereas these first 2 columns do not take into consideration negative numbers, just looking for absolute volatility versus raw volatility. Okay, I'm going to move on because I don't want to beat that any further. I hope it's clear. Now, that's the columns. You can download to Excel, but many of the download to Excel buttons do not work quite exactly like they should. They might post columns that you're not seeing here. So a better way to download to Excel, in my opinion, is just take your mouse and drag across the data and highlight the data, including the column headings. I always do it. I think I found that it works best if I do it from starting at the bottom right corner, click my mouse, and then just drag across over to the top left corner, let go, and then you can Control-C, copy, or use your mouse, right-click, copy, and then paste into Excel. That way you will get the exact data and the exact columns and the exact headings, which these download to Excel buttons don't always give you. Rather than go 16 per page and get 6 pages and go 1 page at a time, you also have the option to list all history. Last but not least, on the earnings history page is the EVR chart. Now, one bit of data that I neglected to mention that's up here in the top section, the section that travels with you across all of the stock specific pages, is the current EVR right there, 2.2. The current earnings volatility rating of Apple is 2.2. EVRs, you can learn more about EVR right here under the help menu. But it is the earnings volatility rating. We rate all stocks as to how volatile they are as a reaction to their earnings event. How volatile is XYZ stock the day after it reports earnings? You can read more about EVR right here. I'm here on the help menu, just so you know. The help menu is designed after this navigation bar. So you can see there's an earnings tab, a backtesting tab, a resources tab. If you go to the help menu, you can see that there's an earnings tab, a backtesting tab, individual stock pages tab, and etc. So that's just a little bit of a clue on how you can navigate through the help menu. Okay, back to the EVR chart. This is the current EVR 2.2. But here's the whole history of EVR. So just because a stock is docile now or extremely volatile now, I mean, it was always been that way. Stocks have personalities, and personalities sometimes evolve over time. You can see by hovering your mouse over any plot on this chart, it will give you a date. I just happened to randomly pick November of 2017. The EVR was 4.4. So Apple is much less volatile now when it reports an earnings event than it was back in 2017. In 2017, we can just see that by going back to 2017. Here's 2017. You can see there was some big moves, 18%, 10%, 31%, 15% in the times hovering in and around slightly before and slightly after 2017. Apple had some very large moves then. If we go back to the current time frame, where we know that Apple is a 2.2 EVR, you don't see those 20. Oh, there's a 20%, but that was back all the way back to 2018. Okay, so quite some time ago. Since 2018, things have really settled with Amazon. So you can learn a lot about a stock's personality by studying the earnings history page of any given stock. There's a lot more information here than meets the eye initially, with just a little bit further evaluation and digging deeper. We have had webinars, and by the way, they are found, the archive webinars are found under the resources tab, right here, OptionSlam historical webinars. We have had webinars that really delve deeply into the implied move weekly chart. So I will skip that one for right now. And we'll just go to a page that we don't often go to, but there is some valuable information on the trend analysis page. Now, many traders are not interested in technical analysis, but I would say most traders do have some interest in at least knowing a little bit about what is the current trend, where is the trend, what is the trend suggesting the future might bring. So we use an Ichimoku chart. This is also supplied by TradingView. This is a TradingView chart. And the Ichimoku indicator is what is plotted on here on this particular page. We have moved now to the trend analysis page. The trend analysis page has some various information. You can learn more about it again in the help menu, individual stock pages, and then go to help, individual stock, and go to trend analysis menu, and that will take you to the help menu specifically for this page. Okay? Many of you were not aware that the help pages were there to help answer your questions, and no problem. Shoot me an email. I'm happy to answer your questions as well. I oftentimes will answer your question and point you and give you a quick link to the help page that also goes to answering your question. So I'm not going to get into Ichimoku, what it is, how it's used, but it's spelled right there. If you're interested in learning about Ichimoku, it is a very popular trend, and users of Ichimoku believe that it has forecasting ability. Okay? So you can learn about Ichimoku by, I would suggest, Googling it. Or you might be a DuckDuckGo kind of a guy or girl. All right, and then the table below gives you some trend analysis information, the simple moving averages, the 26-day fib, some stats that we already are aware of. These are the same statistics. Now let's see, I think we're on NVIDIA. Yeah, we're on NVIDIA right now. So, you know, these first two columns are the same as the earnings history page, but then there's some other trend analysis information here for those of you who are interested. But most importantly, this page tells you not only what was the open, high, low, and close one session after the earnings event, but what was it at the monthly options expiration, the third Friday of the month, okay? I almost, you know, I'm going to make myself a note. And just something I thought of. What if I added that language, third Friday? If I added that note up here to make that more clear, that this would be the monthly options expiration. So how much did this stock, what was the low in the period of time between May 25th, and then what would be the next monthly options expiration? Well, May 25th is past the third Friday of May. So it must be the third Friday of June. Therefore, in this, these are the final numbers looking all the way forward to the third Friday of June. Is that stock closed at 158.80. Between the earnings date and the third Friday of June, the stock went as low as 153. Okay? It went as high as 196. The max move of 196 high was 15.57% higher than the pre-earnings close of 169.75. But the final move on the at the close, third Friday of June, the price was 158.80, representing a down 6% from 169.75. This is information that can really help you. And some people aren't aware that we make this information available. It's a little bit hidden here. It doesn't really feel at home on the trend analysis page, but we ran out of room on the implied move monthly page, okay? Let's go to the implied move monthly page now for the rest of that information. Now that you know where to get the final statistics of everything that happened between earnings day and the third Friday of the next upcoming monthly expiration cycle, that information is available and found on the trend analysis page. Let's take a look at the monthly implied move monthly page. We track the straddle price of the stock, and we allow you to look back at many previous earnings here, many previous earnings. And what's hidden on this page right now is another table that will reveal to you all of the straddle tracking that we did that goes to making these two charts. By the way, there's been some improvements here in these charts recently. We've expanded this chart to go back 12 months, as well as this one now goes back 12 months. Excuse me, 12 earning cycles. Let me count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 earnings events now on both of these charts. Okay? And the data that's in the table that's hidden here, the way to reveal that table is to choose an earnings event and then click the submit button. So if I look at, you can see this is the a split, by the way. This is a split. Wonder if we could get that. Probably can't get that on this chart. But anyway, let's look at the most recent one, the most recent event, August 24th. And if I click that submit button, now I get this table. This new table now populates between the chart and the other table that was already populated on the screen. This new table shows you that we start tracking about a month in advance of the earnings event, the price of the at-the-money straddle. And we convert it to a percentage, and then we continue watching between then and all the way up to the earnings date, that 170 straddle price. And there may be another time where the price meanders above and below 170. You can see here the price went down to 165. So then we started tracking the 165 straddle. The price then jumped up to 180, and we started then tracking the 180 straddle. But we aren't posting all of that information all on this page. We're just posting it when it is the at the money straddle. Okay, so when it becomes the at the money straddle, then it is plotted over here with the date that was then at the money again. Does that make sense? 185, 190, etc. Okay, so that is some information that most people aren't interested in, but we took that data off of our website one time, a long time ago, and we had a lot of complaints from a lot of traders who came back and said, hey, where's the monthly straddle tracking the pre-earnings announcement straddle tracking data? I can't find it on the website anymore. So we put it back on, but we just didn't make it so prominent on the page. Now, if you want that information, you need to go seek it simply by choosing a date here and then clicking the submit button to get the specifics of how that at the money straddle evolved over time. Now, talking about how that straddle evolved over time, we're going to go to the implied move candle chart here. And I thought NVIDIA was one. You see, they're all red candles, and this is very typical. It's not often that you'll see a green candle here. And this is in the spirit of Japanese candlestick charting, okay? In the spirit of Japanese candlestick charting, these charts tell you that the at-the-money straddle price started out here above 18%. Let's see, on this last one, August 24th. Okay, right there, 17%. See it right there? Okay. It started out, it opened here at higher than 17%. And then went higher at some point and then closed here. And then this tells you what the actual one-day move was after the earnings event. Okay? I'm making myself another note, something I want to check into, because that seems to me that should line up with 17, and it looks like it's lining up with 20. And wait a minute, straddle comps. Okay, I'll have to look into that because I think that doesn't look quite right. All right, so anyway, that's that chart. Then this chart gives you, this chart represents information that doesn't come from this table, but instead comes from the main table down below. And what it is that, let's see, that I'm going to choose let's choose another stock here. I want to find one that doesn't didn't have a split recently. That should be easy to do, right? Netflix hasn't split in a long time, right? Just because without a split, then the scale becomes a little easier to see. When there's a split on the chart, then the scale auto adjusts and it makes everything smaller and a little bit harder to see. So Netflix is a good one to illustrate this chart. This chart represents the data in this table below. What is the data? The earnings date, of course. The pre-earnings closing price. This is the final straddle at the money straddle. This is the final closing at the money straddle implied move. If you were to open up this table here and click the submit button, this would be the last at the money straddle price that we collected prior to the earnings event. Okay? The final. And based on that implied move, that is where this orange, I'm going to call it this implied move monthly, this orange vertical rectangle, just gives you a range of what the implied move high and low would be. You see how I put my mouse on there, and it tells you implied move low of 161 and an implied move high of 241, and then the actual move you can see is the green candle right there. The actual move was inside the implied move. So let's look at one that's outside the implied move. Here's one where the implied move said that the implied move high would be 397, the implied move low would be 299, but the actual move, the red candle shows way outside down here at 226 zone. Okay, so this is just a graphical illustration of this data. Okay, max move down 39% on that earnings event on April 19th. That's that one, down 39%. There's the data. The closing move by the end of that day was down 35%. Huge move down. It was outside. Was it inside or outside the implied move? Way outside the implied move. This one, as we already knew from looking at the chart, this one was inside the implied move. And then these final columns tell you what your, if you would have engaged in a long straddle at the price of $40 just prior to the earnings event at the close on July 19th, how would that straddle have performed? It would be worth, by the end of that day, $26.35, representing a 34% loss of your investment of $40. Had you shorted that straddle, then this would be a positive 34% profit at the end of that one day of trading post earnings release. And again, to take that further and beyond the one day, you can go to trend analysis to see where that would have ended up come options expiration day, third Friday of the month. Another way to see even more information about what happened after the earnings event is to go to our post-earnings page. That we're staying on this stock, I'm just changing pages. Staying on Netflix. We now have two go buttons, though. When we go away from the earnings history page, we have two go buttons. That is so that I can stay on the post-earnings page, but change stocks. If I change stock up here, I'm going to go back to the earnings history page of the new stock. But if I want to stay on the post-earnings page, but a different stock, then I can put that stock here, click the blue go button, and now I'm still on the post-earnings page. I can see the little triangle next to, the little indicator next to post-earnings page. And I can scroll down and see all of the data. What happened, not just one day after the earnings event, but what happened 3 days later, 5 days later, all the way up to 55 days post-earnings. Most stocks don't have follow-through quite that long, usually within 21 days, 3 weeks to 4 weeks. Any follow-through move starts to fade away. But we just go this far out in time just so that the traders can confirm that any following moves have ended by then. Or in some rare instances, such as this one right here. Earnings event 4/28/2020. The one-day move was up 8.9%. And within 2 weeks, it was up 13%. A little bit of a pullback into that third week. But by the fourth and fifth week, up 16%. And by almost 2 months later, this stock is now up 17%, higher than the pre-earnings close of 12/32/59. So, folks, I hope this was helpful in some interpretation and reading, helping you to read into some of the data and statistics that we provide here at OptionSlam.com. Wayne suggests that we do a webinar on Ichimoku. Great suggestion, Wayne. I will put that on my list. Yes, those numbers are Fibonacci numbers: 1, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34, and 55. I mean, we had to pick some numbers, and we wanted to get out to some period of time. I personally happen to be a Fibonacci fan. I am a Fibonacci kind of a guy. So, so that was an easy way. That was just an easy way to do that. Oh, great. Another fill. Here we go. All right. Marco's trading. I'll let all of you get back to your trading. And I'll say goodbye for now and good trading.